And hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shapes.io. I am always Tyler, and I'm going to pick up right where we left off in the last episode and get started with making our fun little shape over here. It's going to take you, and so if you remember in the last episode, we started setting up all of the like half of the circles, so I'm going to spend this part of the episode dyeing them and then combining them together, and then we will go from there. So hopefully, again, everyone's doing well today. And we will go ahead and get started. As a quick note, I did have somebody ask a question about how the like I can make the markers like this, so I tried to address it in the comments, but I'm going to also address it here. So all you got to do is just click on whatever shape you want, go to the detailed information, copy key, and it should automatically close out a thought. And then when you go to, I want to create a pin here just to remind us that this is where this is going, just use the shortcut for paste, and there you go. And then it just shows up here, and that's what makes it easier to go ahead and click and get from section to section, just like how the hub is set up. So hopefully, if any of you happen to have that question in the future, or seen it, then that can make it a little bit easier for you. So let's continue with, so we've got our, so these ones need to be white, so this top one needs to be red. We'll actually make that our first one, and we're going to bring it right on down here, and let's see where we can grab some red from. We've got some over there, so yeah, I think that's probably going to be the best spot to bring it from. So recently I've been playing a lot of Factorio with a friend of mine, and I've been doing some reading on there, actually about busing setups, and one thing I realized when I did it in this is you do have to pay attention to balancing things. So for example, in Factorio, there's a couple guides out there about setting up your main bus system, which basically just, you put all of your products onto there, and then you try to move them in large quantities to then later on they can be split off and make new products and all sorts of stuff like that. Just kind of depends on how you want to set everything together in the first place. And it kind of gives you a more visually informative, I guess, like system for actually putting everything together and knowing where stuff is, how much you have, you can see your saturation, all sorts of stuff like that. And so normally, like I said, you'd have whatever you want, like your main belt to have, you would push in a bunch of materials to then be divided up into 4 lanes through here. And then as long as things are balanced, you can pull off, rebalance after you pull off, and then you can use that material like just perpendicular to your main bus, and then start creating things with it, maybe down here, or belt it off wherever you need it. And then you can add stuff back on later, or you can create new sources that end up going back onto the bus, so on and so forth. So obviously in this, I've not really taken that approach, as I have started doing things in this fashion as well, where I just dedicate local sources to whatever needs to be made. So I think there is potential if you would like to do that. If you would like to do a main bus setup, especially with the performance improvements that have been introduced by the developer, that allow you to use a lot more belts and use a lot more tunnels and whatnot, and have less of an impact on your performance. which is obviously pretty important for a game like this, so... Because obviously if things aren't running well, then it's not going to be that fun to have huge, big factories that don't really... or that you can't really enjoy the full effect of. Let's go ahead and just make 5 of those. I could get 2, so 5. Oh. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there we go. And honestly, with this setup right now, we should be producing more than enough because it's cutting 4 a second. And then each, what each stacker's doing 2.5. So I mean, yeah, we should be fine for right now on that end. So next, what we got to do is start producing white dye, so then we can make the circle portion and go from there. But let's actually take a look at these. Okay, so that's getting close already. So let's go ahead and we need green, red, and blue to make white dye. And you know what? I think I'll actually make the white dye over here instead of belting everything over, and then we'll just belt the white dye at the end. And let's see how it goes. Okay, and so we'll combine our... Yeah, I guess we'll just combine our red and blue first because we've already started building it over here. Take you go like that, and this will be in line for here. And you know what, let's actually just go ahead and switch this to down here. And we'll just reorient our extractors, so that way that'll be fine. And then this can come on down here. Go. Now, all we gotta do is keep on doing what we normally do. And you know what, since we need to just belt this down over here, let's actually go ahead and we can go ahead and put it down like that. And then we'll just belt this stuff underneath and be able to go from there. But our painters work at 2.5, so I need 8 in order to fill the 20, but we'll stay for here right now. Start bringing this stuff over. And then we just carry it on down over here. And all we gotta do is now just copy this from the top and we'll be good. We'll start making our white dye. Just need green, and there we go. So now that we've got a white dye being made, we can belt this on over here. And so that we can bring it up here, and then we'll combine it with our other half circles, and then we can put everything together. Go ahead and just move that down a little bit. And we just need to... That's doing that, so we need this one. You go like that. You go like that. And come on down over here. And that's our first part. And now we can start belting over the white. And then next we can combine those and then get started on our green star production, which luckily we've actually got both fairly closely nearby. And that'll be pretty useful for doing what we want with it. So take you, do that. Make sure we connect things up. And there we go. Then just make sure that a couple more there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So we have 8, so everything should be good on that end. Bring in as much white dye as we possibly can. Don't see any gaps popping up even when this is running at full, so that's good. And there we go. Now we're making those two so we can belt our shapes out over here. Actually, we'll go ahead and switch this to be a little bit closer. Go ahead and belt around through that. And then we'll do a similar thing with this over here. That way those two can line up. And then we can go ahead and start combining them. Go ahead and give ourselves a little bit of space to work with. And go ahead and just go down like that. Cool. And now that we've got this shape combined, like I said, all we need to do is just expand this a little bit, and then we'll make our green stars. 4, 5, and those are at 2.5, so we just need 8 total. We need 1, 3, do that, and then we will place those with the right direction ones. There you go. Go ahead and bring everything on over to the right from the bottom. And keep on going. Been playing a little bit of Factorio. I do think it's actually interesting how much the skills kind of carry over. I've put a little bit of time into this, and going from there, I now actually have over 200 hours in. That's not the kind of shape that I want. That might have just been one weird one. Yeah, I just think that was one mess up. Oh, probably when I messed it up at an earlier point and was trying to re-clear it, but that's okay. That's good. Yeah, so it was like I officially reached over 200 hours in Factorio, and I was like, even just from a little bit of reading and also a little bit of playing this, I've actually picked up quite a bit of knowledge on how to make things better. And I think once we go ahead and complete the rest of these, we start over with these shapes, I might switch up the way that we've been doing everything, especially now that we'll have the quad cutters and then also the quad painters, because I might be able to just find that shape and I can, because I might be able to build stuff based off of that, and we can either like paint things, or I can just easily cut stuff up and paste it together the way that I want it. But like the only difference from obviously here in Factorio is the control scheme. At least difference on like a player level, because I'm so used to things working out a certain way. I'm like, oh cool, I'll just press this button to do this, and then I end up misplacing things or doing things wrong, so. I was like, I think it's interesting, like I said, just to see what does and doesn't apply from different games that are obviously not the same, but are adjacent. Because each one definitely has like their own perks and benefits, and I really enjoy both like in their own ways, because Factorio obviously been out for a little bit longer, so has a little bit more content-wise, but you know, it was like this game still is more than I expect, like time and time again. Just because, like, you know, I was playing this and I was like, okay, cool, I feel good about this, and then all of a sudden they dropped like the tier 6s and being like, oh cool, you don't actually need to save any of these shapes from before, and I just, like I said, it's not stopped surprising me at this point. And I like that about this game. I think that it's a really cool system. I like how everything's set up, and it just keeps me excited to play more and more. So we'll go ahead and start belting this on up, because we can then just combine those two together. And I need my green stars to be on top, so that way we can actually bring or that way we can place them on top of this shape. So let's go ahead and do this. Go ahead and bring that over there. And then we'll go ahead and get started with this. And our hub is up, so we'll belt it upwards and bring it on over to our hub, which is actually close by because we got to delete a bunch of stuff. I just need you to do that. And there we go. So we'll belt you to there. This needs to face this way. This needs to go like that. That needs to go like that. And then we just belt under. And there we go. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Cool, and things are now running a little bit smoother than they have been. You know, sometimes this game, or games like this, also just take a moment of stepping back, kind of doing something else, and seeing, you know, previous flaws you might not have seen before. And cool, so we can actually just bring this straight on up, and now we're right about it in line. And we'll go ahead and just bring it over. Go ahead and just get this gap to be as long as possible, and there we go. We just connect you, and we'll connect you, and there we go. Cool, so we've got our production set up for creating the next shape in the series. And now all we gotta do is work on this one, which we're gonna have to figure out how we actually want to do it, because right now obviously I have easy access to squares and doing that, and all I need is just green dye and red dye. But I need to find a source of other shape, which I call the pinwheel. And the fun part about looking for the pinwheel is that there's just a bunch of places to get things from, but whether or not I've looked at all of them properly is a different story. But like, because I may have to just settle on like a half pinwheel and then cut that and go from there, but we will have to see, because I would like to do similar to what we're doing over here. And so, I mean, that's at 1K right now, but yeah, so that's gonna slowly. Okay, so I think we need to make a couple more of these. Because what the cutters are still operating at, 4 a second, so they really only need 5 technically, but there's also only 1 combiner, so we need 8 total. Because then the combiner should help keep things nice and well done. And since we're funneling the cutter directly into the merger, or into the combiner, it should keep those belts saturated, which will then keep this saturated, and then so on and so forth. That's gone, and this still looks good now. And you can see here that there's no actual gaps going on. So that's, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that one wrong one. I'm assuming, no, because that number's gone up. I have to be doing something wrong with one of the white ones. Because what are white's top right and bottom left? Okay, well actually no, if it's gone now, then it should be fine. Top right, bottom left. Oh, I bet you know what's happening. Because technically what, these should be both top right, and then both of these should be bottom left. But I think technically the way that I set it up, because it's alternating, it's just fine? Question mark? Yeah, so I guess if everything just alternates properly, then we're good. We only have to worry when stuff doesn't alternate properly. But like I said, it looks like it's doing just fine, so we'll just leave it alone. And hope that it works until we get to our goal, which is not too far away. So let's go ahead and keep looking for our pinwheels, which we've got a half pinwheel here. I'm gonna go ahead and leave a note there for myself. Let's see if maybe I can find whole pinwheels. I'm surprised about how rare the pinwheel shapes are to find, like just as a whole. Obviously squares, circles, and then are the most common. And then you start running into the stars being a little bit less available, and then the pinwheels I just don't seem to find many of, at least in a whole form. But this could come back to setting up a main bus where I can find, part of a pinwheel and then start combining, and I bus it to the main thing, and then so on and so forth. But like I said, I might look more into creating a more efficient system once I get everything done for Tier 5. Because I see that as the next level of progression for this series and for my own personal play. And it does look like I might just be sticking with turning half shapes into full shapes for this next goal, because I cannot seem to find what I'm looking for. So let's just go ahead and do that over here. And I was like, so we'll go ahead and put these down. Go ahead and we're building it over here, so I think I might try to just belt it down and around. Actually, you know, let's go ahead and bring this up. And we'll go ahead and start building in this direction to the left and see how it goes. Because this is a smaller supply, so I might take these and we'll kind of split it roughly in half. Those will go into one another over here. And then we'll go ahead and start making 2 different producers of our pinwheel shape and go from there. So these need to be red, which shouldn't be too big of an issue. Since we got red dye right here, I'm just going to try and not cover it if I can help it. And that'll be fine. Do like that for you. Line that up. And so the first thing we need to do is split. We will cut over here. And we're cutting the left half into pinwheel shape, so we don't need the... Actually, I am wrong. I can actually do a little something like this. And what we'll do is go ahead and check to see what does what. Okay, so... What if we turn this way? What does that do for it? Okay. So, I need it to be the opposite. That's my bad. So I want this to be bottom left, and I want that to be top right, which will be fine. And then I need this to be top left too. And there we go, I think. No, okay, so I need to flip this way. And then we should be totally fine. There we go. Then what we do is we will combine those. And we can combine these. And actually, we'll go ahead and just make this a little bit more compact. And then you combine. We'll belt you downwards, we'll belt you upwards. And there you go. And then we can go ahead and repeat this process by doing that. And 6, 7, and 8. And hopefully that should keep things saturated well enough. So now we need to... So we need to use the red to dye our pinwheel shape, which is actually already coming up here. And to be honest, I should have probably, just put stuff together first before copying and pasting, but at the very least I know that this works, and we've got another new step in the right direction for making more interesting setups that hopefully will work a little bit better. Because instead of, you know, doing all sorts of stuff to like cut and then combine, we just do it all in one, and our cutters right now are working faster than our combiners, and especially since each shape will produce 2 of the one desired shape. So both will be working out quite well for us, and I'm very glad about that being the case. Go ahead and do that for you. This. And continue on with belting things over. Like I said, our next goal will then be to dye the shapes, the colors that we need, and then we'll combine them once more to finally create the final desired shape. And from there, we will be able to do some good work. Oh wait, hold on. So that's actually just that the other shapes that are coming from the second half of the extractors that are chained down there. So we can get rid of that for right now, because we might be able to just get away with producing only this setup. No, I actually want that. Go ahead and bring this over. Bring you like that. You can go with that, and I'm going to go ahead and take the... Hold on, our red dye's up top, isn't it? Alright, I was going to take the lazy route, but I'll just go ahead and build it out right quick. I was like, I wonder if at some point there will be ability, like Factorio style, actually like copy and save blueprints, because then you could do all sorts of other stuff. Because I know if you copy, you can paste like the last blueprint you had selected and stuff like that, but I don't think there's like a blueprint book, as mentioned with Factorio. So I think that would be a cool thing to add, but obviously like I'm totally content, especially since I can copy and paste from other parts of the factory pretty easily. Unlike in Factorio, where you have to have robots set up and then do all sorts of other stuff, which gets a little bit tiresome in the early game because you don't have access to everything. Let me just double check, so that's 2, so we'll go ahead and do 10, so 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Now we've got you going. Ah, cool. And then in order for things to catch up, I need to do the same ratio with the green over here. We will go ahead and that up for ourselves. Go ahead and start pumping these shapes out a little bit more, since we're gonna actually start transporting them. We'll go ahead and actually just come right on down over here. Got plenty of space to work with on that. And we'll go ahead and actually just carry our green. Instead of belting it around, we'll just belt all of this around the green. So you can exit out right through there. And continue by doing the same thing that we were doing already over here. There we go. And yet again, I forgot to add these, so I gotta manually place them in, but that's fine. I think that's like the main fun part of this series is you get all sorts of opportunities to, really grow in how you approach things. And as you unlock new abilities, the factory is, evolving with you. And like I said, you just learn a lot of different tips and tricks for yourself, and you have a little bit more of the freedom to do what you want to do and actually enjoy how things kind of shape up. So let's go ahead and finish connecting this all up together. And once that is done, I will go ahead and I think we might need to do that, yeah. And then we just bring this right on over out to the edge over here, and we'll belt it up later so we can start combining things up here. But right now, I'm going to save and cut the episode there. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully if you enjoyed, leave a like down below. Leave a comment if you have any questions, anything you want to see more of, and subscribe to see when I release future content. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.